When you think about a quality name and you think about a well-known writing instrument and a famous name, most people will think of one of several brands, and one of which is Cross. Cross has been around since like the 1840s, 1860s, something like that. And they started making pencils way back when. And A.T. Cross, Alonzo, I think was his name, in the 1900s, early 1900s, started to try to make fountain pens. And he was fairly successful at it. The Cross Company obviously has been around a long time, and it's obviously still in existence today. There are some Cross items out there that I really want to get. I'm a Star Wars fan. I've liked the movie since it first came out, the original, and the sequels, obviously, since then. And I'm actually sitting here looking forward to, in less than 2 weeks, closer to like 9 days, the new Star Wars movie is going to hit the theaters, and I'm all for it. Cross, together with Schaefer, because they are now one and the same company, the venerable Schaefer name was purchased by the Bic Corporation in around 1997, and somewhere around 17 years later, sold the Schaefer brand to A.T. Cross. A.T. Cross is now owned by an investment firm, and they hold the both brands, Schaefer and Cross. Schaefer has a low-end Star Wars pen for about $20. Star Wars pens for Cross, by comparison, are $4 to $5, closer to $600, depending upon MSRP and where you get them. So you can tell that there's going to be a quality difference, hopefully, between the two. When I first moved to North Carolina, I worked for a public safety department, and one of the requirements was for the uniform, because we had to wear a full uniform. We had a mixture of police officers and fire and safety people. I was one of the fire and safety people, since my degree was in fire protection. We had to wear Cross pens in our pocket. Had to be Cross. And if you were a supervisor, it could be gold toned, and if you were a normal line person like myself, it had to be silver. So I've had this box here with a Cross ballpoint and a Cross mechanical pencil for somewhere around almost 30 years now in this box right here. And I don't use it anymore. It's not that it was a horrible quality, but one of the things about it that I really did not like is it was a little more slender than I like. It's a nice ballpoint, writes well, but it's very slender in the hand. Yes, I've been playing with ink. So that was the downside to that particular pen, and when I had to write reports and I had to use this pen, because some people just had it in their pocket for decoration and they wrote with ordinary cheap Bic ballpoints or something like that. But I actually used mine. I figured if I got it, I might as well use it. The company I work for, which is no longer known by this name, gave employees a Cross ballpoint pen, and there's a little company logo, formerly Time Warner. But that was a gift that they gave all of their employees. So it's a common thing to have corporate gifts for employees done by Cross, because Cross is a well-known name. The White House, for bill signings, Cross is the official pen of the White House. So when they do bill signings, it's going to be with a Cross pen. There are pictures I've seen online of the one that Barack Obama has used. Donald Trump has ordered 150 Cross pens for bill signings when he came into office. So since the 70s or so, Cross has been the official pen of the White House. Okay, so I'm always poking around looking for a new pen to add to my collection, and I ran across this, a Cross. I ran across a Cross. So a Cross fountain pen. Now, I already own a Cross fountain pen. As a matter of fact, it looks like this. The Cross Bailey came in a package like this. The Bailey is not an upper end pen. Bailey is probably the low end pen, and it's a nice looking pen. Nothing wrong with it. It actually writes very nicely. My big beef with a Cross pen, it's got a tough snap and a tough pull. But other than that, it's actually a quality pen. Not too bad. So I've used this one, and right now I robbed the cartridge out of it, and you'll see why. But that's one of my big beefs with most manufacturers, or many, is that either they don't include a converter, or they may throw in a couple of cartridges, but I stole the converter out of this thing to use in this one, the Cross 3506. This was a used pen. I did not expect it to come with a converter or a cartridge, but it did come with a few cartridges, probably left over from like the 1970s, 80s, somewhere in there. So, got this one in and cleaned it up, and had to flush an awful lot of used blue ink out of the section, which I expect to do. If you're going to buy a vintage pen, if you're going to buy a used pen, expect to have to clean it. That's why I've got an ultrasonic cleaner. That's why you saw I did a video on pen flush. I go through a lot of that stuff because I don't mind buying used pens. If you're going to buy brand new ones, it's not such a big deal. Flush a little water through it. Maybe the manufacturing process left a little residue. But when you're getting a used pen, you're probably going to encounter a lot of ink that's been left inside that pen for eons. This was no exception. Although it looked great on the outside, you've got that typical Cross silver, or that chrome on the outside. Very, very typical of the pen, sort of like I just showed you with the ballpoint version, a very slender Cross. Finial at the bottom. Simple yet elegant. And that's what Cross pens were known for. Simple, elegant looking, quality, always right. Which is why I decided to go ahead and pick this up. I got it at a decent price. I got it on an eBay auction. And so I went ahead and just snatched it up. So, it's got a nothing special, almost a Lamy style nib. This happens to be a medium nib. So you've got that gold tone nib, you've got the black section with the chrome trim, very long section. So you got plenty of room to be able to hold it. It's slender. I'm not a big fan of slender pens, but I figured I'll give it a try just because I've got another Cross pen. I like it. I knew that it was going to be quality. I knew it was going to write well. And quite honestly, I was bored. Boredom plus eBay and a PayPal account for me can be a dangerous thing. So, it holds very nicely. It's all metal, like most Cross pens are going to. It posts very securely, posts very nicely. You pull it out or unscrew it, and that's the converter. That is a Cross converter. Usually you have to purchase these separately, which I had to do this one. When I got my Bailey, it did not come with a converter, and I had to purchase one. And I can't remember if I just got it online or if I picked it up at a pen show. As I recall, it was on my shopping list for quite a while, a Cross converter. And so they're like $10, $12 or so, last I saw. So I managed to pick that up, and I put in some Private Reserve DC Super Show blue ink into it. It had blue ink in it previously. The cartridges that I got are blue. But quite honestly, I got a lot of blue inks, and I was looking for something I hadn't tried yet. So I had a sample of that particular ink. And it's a long converter. You'll have a long, slender converter part that you can't see. It probably goes down about that far into the pen. So, what can I tell you about it? I mean, it's simple and it's elegant, and it writes well, like I expect from A.T. Cross. I tell you what, all there really is left to tell you, because if you're familiar with seeing these ballpoints, and if you've ever used a Cross pen, then you know that you've got a quality writing utensil, and that it's going to be smooth, it's going to write well. So let me do a writing sample for you real quick. Alright folks, let's show you a quick example for size comparison. Here is the ubiquitous Cross ballpoint pen that I showed you earlier, and this is the Cross 3506 fountain pen by comparison. So let me see if I can get this to stay. If it'll stay. So it's not going to do very well, but you can see it's very comparable in length and in size. So if you've got a Cross ballpoint, then you pretty much know what that's like. And let's go with another ubiquitous pen for size comparison. There you've got a Pilot Metropolitan compared to the Cross 3506. All right, so not too far off. All right, folks, let's give you a quick writing sample. Very smooth pen, a Cross 3506. This one has a medium nib. It's just a steel nib with some gold tone, but it's not real gold. I put in here a private reserve DC Super Show blue. I won't be able to go back to the DC Super Show until, oh gee whiz, what? June, July, August, September, October, somewhere in September maybe? August? Anyway, but it's very smooth. No problems whatsoever. This is a little Rhodia dot pad. You can get a little bit of flex and a little bit of line variation and shading there. Well, line variation anyway. So, it writes very well in whatever direction you want to go. It's a very wet writer. You can see what that ink smear looks like. Reverse writing, just for grins. It's a very fine line. So if you're looking for a fine to extra fine line, you can do the reverse writing, and it actually holds up fairly well. Let's see how it goes real fast. Scribble. Scribble signature. And it does all right. So folks, I'm pleased with it. I mean, I've known that Cross is a quality brand. I've owned Cross products for decades, and I've already got another Cross in the Bailey here. I know that the Bailey writes well. It's not their top of the line pen. It's actually one of the bottom of the line pens. And this being, the traditional Cross silver that you see quite often, just about everywhere you go. Businessmen all over are going to be using Cross pens, and you'll see them given as gifts for corporate gifts. You'll see people getting them for Father's Day, that kind of thing. And the old 3506 model here, it's a stereotypical looking and feeling, yet very good writing Cross quality pen. So I do recommend it. I mean, I don't like cylinder pens, but I do like them. And as much as I want the Cross Star Wars line that's out right now, I'm not gonna fork out over $400 for a Cross pen, much less a Star Wars pen, as much as I want them. I mean, oh, the Han Solo and Carbonite, I'm digging that. The Boba Fett pen and Chewbacca, I could go for those. But anyway, I'm quite happy with my 3506.